Good afternoon, good evening. I see that participants are joining, so I give it a bit of time for people to attend. We will do a brief introduction. So this is the 123rd branch meeting. We do it online. Not typically scheduled, but I think given the weather of the recent days, that was the best option to do as well, to do it online. I truly hope that everybody's okay. I know that we have a lot of flooding, but again, I hope that your work site is safe and that you're safe as well, and that the impact of the severe weather of the last 2 days has not too much impact on yourself personally. To go through the topics, so we'll start off as usual with the introduction and some branch updates, and then despite the weather, we go into a topic presented by Gurmukh on heat-related illness. I think a very important topic. We might have the rain. It's 25 degrees at the moment in the UAE, but summer is close by. And I think we need to get ready and prepare ourselves for a hot summer. This presentation will last 30-40 minutes. We have questions and answer session afterwards, and then depending what time we finish with that, we close the meeting around 6:45, I guess. A few updates. Risk Excellence Awards ceremony is scheduled for the 23rd of May. I don't know if anyone is attending the session in the UK, but I think it's a important ceremony. The award winners or the candidates have been announced, so I think that's a good motivator as well for all of us to work on that, to be one of the nominees next year, and to make it to that final date on the 23rd of May. Our LinkedIn page is slowly but consistent growing. Over 2,000 followers now. I think that's a really good achievement for everybody who is following us. Some news on a bursary. We recently had the Salama bursary, which is closed. We are awaiting for the official announcement, but IIRSM together with L'Oreal have again opened up the Hummingbird bursary, allowing you to submit your application for members and non-members of IIRSM. Submissions need to be done before the 25th of April, so that will be next week, Thursday, and successful candidates will be placed in the managing risk, the essential training on 21st of May. So if you're interested in that course, if you want to apply for the Hummingbird bursary, please do so. You still have a week to fill in your application, and I think it's very worthwhile doing so. A brief overview of the training courses listed at the moment. So that's Managing Risk, the Essentials on the 21st of May. Managing Health and Safety Risks, the Essentials. This one has been postponed with a week, but it's now June 18 and 19. And then the last training course that is scheduled at the moment is again Managing Risk, the Essentials on September 24th. So that will be after the summer break. I would recommend anyone to visit the IIRSM website. There will always be the latest information on training courses, branch meetings, a lot of useful information, but this is at the moment what we have in training courses which are scheduled. a couple of webinars that are scheduled for the next coming weeks. It's Leading Through Change on the 1st of May and New Manager Clinic, specifically focusing on colleagues that move into a more managerial role on May 8th. Again, you can sign up for these webinars on the IIRSM website. If that's interesting to you, I think both are very interesting, useful sessions where you probably get a lot of worthwhile information. Branch meetings. I've had a look today morning on the latest updates with regards to the schedule. The only update I found was our branch meeting for today, and there's an East Midlands branch meeting on the 10th of May. I haven't seen any other updates on international or Europe branch meetings, but again, have a look at the IIRSM website. See if there's a branch meeting with an interesting topic for you, and feel free to list yourself to attend the meeting. Next branch meeting, again, the second Wednesday of the month, May 8th and June 12th. We may decide to change the May 8th date, and that's I'm in contact with a organization who would be willing to provide a face-to-face training, but they're only in the UAE in the days after May 10, as they visit first Qatar and Saudi. So we may postpone our May 8 meeting to the next week to be able to do a face-to-face meeting. But I will keep you updated on that as soon as I have information on that. Again, as I mentioned before, we are a members organization. Like to not only have external kind of presentations, I like to have presentations from our members as well. Today we have a very interesting topic, and I would like to use this branch meeting as well, not specifically for 30 or 40 minutes presentation. If you have something you would like to share, any topic, any best practice or experience, even if it's a 10-minute kind of update, which you would like to share, please reach out to me or to the other committee members, and we make time available during our branch meeting to give you a time slot to present whichever topic you are willing to share. Today, as I mentioned, interesting topic. It's not that hot yet. We had a lot of rain, but this is about heat-related illness. And again, as mentioned before, I think very interesting, very useful topic, especially now we heading towards the summer. Temperatures will go up quickly, and we all have a responsibility for that as different organizations, but as health and safety professionals within the organizations as well. So I would like to hand over to you, Gurmukh, and guide us through the heat-related illness presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As Mr. Branco just mentioned, we will talk about the heat stress today. Just give me a second, please.
Do you need some help, Gavak, or are you okay?
Yes, it works now. Sorry for that. So welcome to my presentation. It's the purpose of this presentation is, as you all know, that heat illness is an important health issue facing all who works in the hot environments in the UAE and GCC region in the summer months. So the objective of this webinar is to provide basic information about heat stress from outdoor work and how to protect employees from this hazard. This presentation will cover hazard posed by the heat stress and outdoor work, health effects of heat stress, line of treatment, first aid in case of heat stress, methods to protect employees from heat stress, and some preventive measures. So these are some related legal obligations in the UAE, and mainly it is heat stress is supported by the Ministerial Decree number 401 of 2015, which states that employers must not allow workers to perform outdoor activities in direct sun between 12:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. from June 15 to September 15. So this is a very good support from the regulation point of view. So heat stress happens when the human body loses its ability to self-regulate body temperature. There is a heat control center situated in our brain. It's called hypothalamus, which regulates our body temperature. So heat stress can lead to a range of heat-induced conditions from least serious to more serious. It is from the heat rash, heat cramps, fainting, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke. And we will discuss about these in detail later on in the slides. For outdoor workers, the sun is the biggest cause of the heat stress. They are at a much higher risk of heat stress. So what the mechanism? The mechanism is, you all are aware that energy flows from high to low. So if body temperature is greater than surrounding temperature, heat flows from body to the surrounding. But the temperature variation is negligible as surroundings are much larger than human body. For example, when we are sitting in an air conditioning room, our body temperature, normal body temperature is 36 to 37 degrees centigrade, but it doesn't affect the air conditioning temperatures. Similarly, if surrounding temperature is more than the body temperature, heat flows from surroundings to human body, causing much larger temperature variation inside the body. So due to which in extreme hot temperature, the body's thermoregulation may fail. As I said, there is a regulatory center in the brain, it may fail, resulting in the core body temperature moving towards the temperature of the external environment. For example, if the external environment is 40 degrees and normal our body temperature is 36 to 37, so body will start get heating up. The human body maintains a steady temperature through the balance of internal heat production and environmental heat loss. So heat-related illness are among the most common seen medical emergencies presenting to hospital in the Middle East during summer, especially during summer. So there are some personal risk factors which are listed below, like lack of acclimatization, then poor physical fitness or an unhealthy weight, age, of course, flu, lack of sleep, and other minor illnesses, recurring skin disorders like rashes or dermatitis, etc., caffeine, drug, and alcohol intake, which causes dehydration, previous history of heat stroke, pre-existing medical conditions like diabetes or heart disease, and use of some medications like diuretics. So diuretics also cause the dehydration. So what all are the possible outcome of heat-related illness? Heat illness caused by heat stress can be a matter of life and death. Workers die from heat stroke every summer. And every death is preventable. And these preventions we will talk later on. Even if heat stroke doesn't kill immediately, it can shut down major body organs, causing acute heart, liver, kidney, and muscle damage, nervous system problems, and blood disorders. So temperature, humidity, and body cooling. The human perspire as a means of cooling the body. The higher the relative humidity, the higher the presence of water in the air, the less perspiration can be evaporated, reducing the cooling effect of evaporation and increasing heat load in the body. So when the perspiration is not there, relative humidity is more, then evaporation will not happen. The combination of rising temperature and work demands. So this is both the outside atmosphere temperature when it is more and person is working physically, this can lead to the heat stress situation for the workers. That's why we need to stay hydrated. So we will talk about the hydration in the next slide. So hydration. Hydration maintenance is the most important personal factor for protection against the heat illness. The reason being, the other means like providing of shades or air conditioning environment or providing the fans, it's not some practical on the sides. And of course, it costs money. So the most important personal factor for protection is drinking water, hydration. So whenever you come to work, well hydrated by drinking at least 1 liter of water before starting of the work each day. Then drink regularly. During the day, at least 2 liters of water every 2-3 hours. Carry a large water container. Ensure replacement of electrolytes by adding a little extra salt to meal or selecting correct electrolyte drinks. So our body, it's like 2/3 of fluid. So hydration is most important thing. And the adding the extra salt to meals is important because it will give additionally the potassium also to the body, which is required. So you can test yourself about the hydration, like good urine color and urine color when dehydrated. When the person is dehydrated, the color of urine change becomes the dark yellow, and even specific gravity get changed. So specific gravity can be tested for the dehydration. Stages of heat illness. So we are talking about the heat illness. There are certain stages. So from the, as I told, from the less severity to the more severe severity, more serious outcomes. With the initial onset of the symptoms, the worker may feel tired and fatigued and perhaps a little disoriented. Later on, it causes heat rash, heat cramps, fainting, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke, which we will discuss in the coming slides. So onset of heat stress, the general feeling of tiredness and or fatigue. The line of action is simple, fluid replacement and rest. Then comes the heat rashes. Skin becomes reddened and may itch, feel prickly or hurt. Red bumpy rash with severe itching. The line of action, first aid is avoid hot environments, rinse skin with cool water. Then comes the heat cramps. the cramping of muscles, often in the arms, legs, or stomach. Then first aid treatment is move to the pool area, loosen clothing, massage and stretch cramping muscles. Drink cool water. Fainting due to heat. So next thing after the cramps could be fainting. Sudden fainting which occurs after at least 2 hours of work in the direction. So this is at least 2 hours of working in the direction. Then because of this, the skin become cool and moist and weak pulse. Pulse rate will be weak. You all know that the average pulse rate is 72 per minute. Like we say, from 60 to 80 times pulse rate is normal pulse rate. So we can check in the central pulse and or the radial pulse also. The first aid treatment, move to the cool area, loosen clothing, have the person lie down. Raise legs to promote blood circulation to the head. Offer sips of cool water. So when we raise the legs, it promotes the blood circulation to the head. You know that the circulation of blood, it carries nutrients and oxygens, which is required for the brain cells and all the body cells. So it needed, when the person is fainted, the more nutrients and more oxygen is needed for the head. So next is heat exhaustion and heat stroke. So in the heat exhaustion, there's a heavy sweating. But in the heat stroke, there's no sweating because there's no water. I mean, less water. There's no water to precipitate. Weakness or fainting in the heat exhaustion, whereas in the heat stroke, there will be throbbing headache. In the heat exhaustion, skin will be cold, pale, and clammy, whereas in heat stroke, hot, red, and dry skin. Rapid and weak pulse, whereas in the heat stroke, the pulse rate will be rapid and strong pulse. So you can feel, as I said, especially the trained first aider, they know how to check the pulse rate. Nausea and vomiting in the both cases. Muscle cramps in the heat exhaustion, and in the heat stroke may lose consciousness. Heat stroke is a medical emergency. It has to be treated at the hospital. The person has to be sent to the hospital in case of heat stroke. So here in the heat exhaustion, of course, the trained medical personnel or the trained first aider should handle. It needs the medical attention. In heat exhaustion, the person can be brought to the air-conditioned place, can be given water to drink, and can be told to take a cool shower. So in the heat exhaustion, the body temperature is from 37 to 40 degrees centigrade, whereas in the heat stroke, it goes beyond the 40 degree. In the heat exhaustion, there will be headache, fatigue, as I already told. And in the heat stroke, coma and death can happen. So the first thing in case of heat stroke is to call an ambulance at 998. Then move to the cool place and rest. Remove excess clothing, drench skin with cool water, place ice bags on the armpits. And we have to take care of ABC, that is airway, breathing, and circulation by the trained first aider until the ambulance arrives, the professional help arrives. Because the ambulance may take, to take 10 to 20 minutes also. Whereas in the heat exhaustion, as I said, it can be treated by the trained first aider also. So other health risks to the workers. Because of the heat, as the worker, sometimes they use, some hand tools. They can get injured with the hand tools. or they use the business equipments, so they can make the accidents. And of course, the heat stress, it places additional strain on the heart and lungs, because pulse rate goes high, and respiration rate also goes high. So what is the action plan? So action plan is like ring the emergency number. So up to heat exhaustion, it could be treated. The line of action can be by the entity, by the organization itself. They might be having their own medical staff or at least trained first aider. But in case of heat stroke, that emergency number of ambulance 998 has to be called, and the sick person has to be transferred by the ambulance itself. Because there are 2-3 regions, if I explain, it will take time, but you know that. One thing, they are professional, and when they start stabilizing the sick person on the site itself, and then they communicate about the signs and symptoms to the ER department of the hospital. So, if possible, remove them to the cool area, of course. Sit or lie person down, elevate legs if they have fainted. As I said, then when we raise the legs, the blood circulation increases to the head. If they are conscious, give them water or electrolytes to drink sip by sip. Please don't give water to the unconscious person, because that water can enter into the lungs, so which will harm to the lungs. Then cool the person down by sprinkling water on them. Place a cold towel on the head, direct a fan on them. Do not throw ice or ice cold chilled water on them. If there is no quick recovery, as I mentioned before, place them in the recovery position and monitor airway, breathing, and circulation. Wait with them for the assistant to arrive. Don't leave them alone. So here are some preventive control measures. So provide heat stress information training through verbal and written instructions, annual heat trainings, orientation training, safety talk, etc. in the language the workers understand. Encourage workers to keep hydrated. Drink 1 cup of water every 20 minutes. Workers to report symptoms of heat stress. Encourage self-limitation of exposure when supervisor is not present. Workers to look out for signs and symptoms of the heat stress in the co-workers. Additional training for high-risk workers. Encourage healthy lifestyle. So, job-specific control. Postpone strenuous work until a cooler time of the day. Sometimes some organizations, I know some companies, they shift in the night duties and they give rest in the day duties. That is also one of the way. If the worker is done outside, ensure that shaded areas are available, and there could be rotation in the shifts, and cooling vests if feasible and effective for the workers. So heat stress prevention program by ADPHC, there is a guidelines, technical guidelines by the ADPHC or SHAD. Now it's called Abu Dhabi Public Health Center. So these guidelines are written there also. Provision of appropriate clothing, of course, lightweight, cotton, light colored, then shed and cooling shelters for the employees, pre-employment screening and medical clearance for the hot work, audit inspections and program. This pre-employment screening is different from the visa because it should be based on the profession. Like there is a criteria for medical for the pilots and for the divers and the drivers and the people working in the hot work and working at height, etc. Audit inspections program and amount of potable drinking water close to the work site and appropriate electrolyte replacement drinks. So this prevention of heat illness by acclimatization is already mentioned there in the OSHA, that's FTG 9.0. There are technical guidelines about the heat acclimatization program. So this acclimatization program is basically for the new employees that have been on the vacation, or employees that are moving from a work site that has the climate control, basically from the air conditioning to the work site that has the high temperature. So for the workers, those who have already experienced, there is a 4 days program. Like first day, they could be exposed to 50%, then 60, 80, and 100. For the workers, those who have not had experience working in the hot environment, there is a 5 days program. It starts from 20% to 100%. And some workers, when they join newly, even if they come from the similar type of climate or atmosphere, but when they stay here for the getting their visa, medicals, and getting the work permits, they stay. It could take 1 week or 2 weeks for doing all these formalities. And then if they are suddenly exposed to the hot environment, this can cause heat stress. So that new workers, when they are joining, they should be exposed 20% for the first day, and then 40%, 60%, 80%, and 100% to do the acclimatization. So this is basically what I'm talking about is if we take the 8 hours shift work per day, so you can divide accordingly. The thermal work limit has been scientifically validated for the Gulf condition. It is the heat stress index that has been adopted by the HAD. HAD is Health Authority of Abu Dhabi, to enable safe management of working heat. So the lower the TWL, the harsher the environment to work. For example, if the TWL is below 115 in the withdrawal zone, it's a withdrawal zone. It's an unsafe zone. The meaning that only maintenance and rescue operation should take place. It should not, normal work should not take place in this. Then if the TWL is above 220, it is in the unrestricted zone. There's no limit of work, provided that adequate fluids are available for the drinking. Between 140 to 220, it's acclimatization zone. Acclimatization, I have already mentioned, for the workers, those who have experience in working in hot climate, and for the workers, those they have not worked in the hot climate. So between 115 to 140, it's a buffer zone where the worker can work under the shade, and better ventilation can be provided, and alone working outside is avoided. Unacclimatization worker should not be at work, and frequent rest scheduled. So an adequate intake of fluid is also required to ensure proper replacement of fluids lost in sweat in the specific hot environmental conditions. So heat stress, now if we summarize, is a body loses its ability to self-regulate temperature. As I said, there is a temperature regulating center which is called hypothalamus in the brain, and it fails. So when in the heat stress, body loses its ability to self-regulate the temperature. Heat stress can lead to heat rashes, to heat cramps, fainting, heat exhaustion, and medical emergency, which has to be treated at the hospital, that is heat stroke. So general measures to be taken: heat stress management program, then drink plenty of fluid, follow midday break, which I already mentioned. It is from 12:30 to 3 p.m. From 15 June to 15 September. So, well, this is a regulation, this is a guideline, but it doesn't mean that at 12 o'clock there will not be sun. So we have to make our own risk assessment. Job rotation in and out of hot areas. Look for signs and symptoms of heat illness and first aid facilities and managing medical emergencies. So there are additional resources available. On the HARD website, there's the dehydration test reports and heat stress technical information, permit to work, then important information from the visitors and new arrivals, heat questionnaires, educational and awareness materials, presentations, of course, and online thermal work limit calculator. So which can be calculated online. So thank you so much. And most important thing, again, I will say to keep ourselves hydrated and by the water. That's it. No soft drinks, no sugary. There should not be any caffeine in the drinks or any sugar because it may cause the dehydration. The best fluid is water. Thank you so much. Shukran for your valuable time. Thank you. That's it from my side.
Thank you. We're just trying to get Branko back. Let's see if we can unmute Branko. There we go.
See. Am I back? I don't see myself, but
Yeah, we can see you.
you can see me. Ah, that's good. So I can't see myself, but that's fine. I'm okay with that. Yeah, thank you very much for your presentation. I see comments coming in mentioning as well interesting content. I think it's information many of us probably are aware of, but it's incredibly important going into the summer. In your presentation, you referred to Abu Dhabi Public Health Center. There is indeed a code of practice for safety in the heat. That's code of practice 11. So anyone who wants to get more information on that, go to the Abu Dhabi Public Health Center website. For those colleagues in Dubai municipality has a technical guideline for the management of heat stress at work. So I think largely the information will be the same, the guidance will be the same, but Abu Dhabi and Dubai have their own documentation. So for those of us living, working in Dubai, have a look at the Dubai municipality website and then technical guideline. For the colleagues in Abu Dhabi, visit the Abu Dhabi Public Health Center and then have a look at Code of Practice number 11. I think in due time, more information from the authorities will become available as well. Programs, posters, any type of information. But yeah, I'm very interested as well once we get into the summer to get kind of information what you all do in your own organization and what type of campaigns you run. Yeah, thank you very much for your presentation. I'm quickly going to the chat to see what we have in information. So a lot of thank yous, and I can only agree with that. Yes, this presentation will be uploaded on the IIRSM YouTube channel. And once that is done, we will send the link in the WhatsApp group and on our LinkedIn page. So anyone wants to, have another look at the presentation, feel free to have a look at that. I'm just checking if there are questions in here. This is all thank yous.
We do
Uh,
have one question in the Q&A, and that is it only drinking
Yeah,
water that keeps us hydrated? I'm not sure if you saw that one, Branko.
Yes, I see that. So, could you answer that? Is it only drinking water that keeps us hydrated, or?
Yes, see, plain water is because of, as I said, 2-3 reasons. Because the plain water, it doesn't have salt. If the water contains the salt, it can increase the blood pressure. And if it has a sugar, it itself causes the dehydration. And plain water, it's sufficient, enough. And of course, there are ORS available, which are approved by the WHO, ORS, oral rehydration solutions. But I have not mentioned it because that has to be, from the proper resources. It knows to be from anywhere. So that's why I just said the plain water.
So it's if you use ORS, then it's the addition to the water, but not the kind of what is it? Commercial kind of drinks.
Yeah, it should not be the commercial kind of drinks.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. There was one other question I see in the chat, which is more specifically to type of fabrics of clothing during the summer.
Well, it is, as you mentioned, it's mentioned in the COP and technical guidelines of the ADPSC about the type of clothing. So that's why I've not given the details. So it can be referred there. Basically, it's a cotton, and everybody, we all are health and safety professional. So you know that, but details are there in the technical guidelines.
All right. Okay. Yeah, thank you very much again. There are no other questions. Then I thank everybody for attending this session. And as I mentioned, my aim is, as it was this month, but to go to a face-to-face meeting, assuming that the weather is much better and traveling will be easier. I aim for a face-to-face meeting. If you have any further questions on a summer heat campaign, on heat stress, feel free to reach out to the groups we have, the WhatsApp group, the LinkedIn group. Send me a direct message. There's a lot of information available, but we're here to help each other. So use the available channels we have to get the information. Again, thank you very much for attending, and I hope to see you all again next month for another branch meeting. Thank you. Good evening.